susunod na programa ay rated PG. Patnubay at gabay ng magulang ay kailangan sa mga batang manonood.
The views and opinions expressed by the host do not state or reflect those of the company and its management. Furthermore, the views, opinions, and insinuations made by the host, guests, do not reflect those of the show, the management, and the network.
Tatlong buhay ang nawala, 20 estudyante ang sugatan, isang trahedya na muling nagtanong sa buong bansa. Handa na ba ang ating batas sa bagong muka ng krimen ng kabataan? Panahon na bang baguhin ang Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act o ang tunay na problema ay ang mismong nasa lipunan? Ito ang isyung ating tatalakayin ngayong gabi. Ako po, si Judea Bernardo at ito ang The PH Insider sa DATV Channel 31. Upang bigyang linaw ang legal na aspeto ng mainit na usaping ito, makakasama po natin ang isang batikang abogado na may malawak na karanasan sa batas at public policy. Dean of the Graduate School of Law, San Sebastian College, Recoletos, Manila, Attorney Rodel Taton. Para naman suriin ng mas malawak ang implikasyon ng isyong ito mula sa batas hanggang sa epekto nito sa lipunan at pampublikong polisiya. Makakasama po natin ang isang respetadong political analyst mula sa academe. From the University of the East, we have Professor Eric De Torres. Good evening, Professor. At mapapakinggan din natin ang pananaw ng isang broadcast executive na matagal nang sumusubaybay sa mga usaping may malaking epekto sa lipunan at sa publiko. DATV President Sir Romel Miranda. Good evening po. We're complete. Ang issue pong ito ay mainit at pinag-uusapan ngayon. Itong Juvenile Justice Welfare Act of 2006. Muli po itong umalab yung debate matapos po itong Tacloban School shooting. So muli pong naging sentro ng usapin ang Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act, kasunod po ng madugong pamamaril sa isang paaralan dyan sa Tacloban City na ikinasawingan ng 3 estudyante at ikinasugat ng 20 pa. Naniniwala po si Senator Panfilo Lacson na panahon ng repasuhin ang batas upang matiyak na mapapanagot natin ang mga menor de edad na may sapat na pag-unawa sa kanilang ginawa. Samantala naman po, bukas ang Malacanang sa pagrepaso sa kasalukuyang minimum age of criminal responsibility habang isinusulong po ng Philippine National Police na ibaba ito sa 12 anyos. Ngunit, tutol dito, sina Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian, ilang mambabatas at mga child right advocates. Anila, mas dapat palakasin ang rehabilitasyon, mental health services, child protection programs at suporta ng pamilya kaysa ibaba ang edad ng pananagutang kriminal. Iginiit din po ng Amnesty International Philippines na hindi ang pagpapababa ng edad ng criminal responsibility ang solusyon, kundi ang mas epektibong pagpapatupad daw ng umiiral na batas at pagpapalakas ng mga programang nagpoprotekta at gumagabay sa mga kabataan. There is a resounding question from Sir Romel that I've been hearing a while ago, and Sir, do the honors to ask these questions po.
Bago po natin baguhin yung batas, no? Kasi ang contemplation po ng batas doon, pumasok na po yung bata doon sa criminal justice system, no? But ako po maitanong ko kay Professor at po kay Attorney, doon po sa mas malaki pong perspektibo po ng nangyayari po sa bansa pagdating po sa mga bata na ito. Ano po ba yung sa tingin nyo parang pagkukulang po natin o parang na-miss po natin as a society na umabot pa tayo sa ganito pong punto na nangangailangan po natin na i-revisit po yung policy na ilang dekada na rin po na nakita po natin na gusto ipatupad po ng gobyerno. Attorney.
Kasi we're looking at the personal accountability ng bata dito, no? And at the same time, we're looking at the restorative justice. But if we go back to the law itself, the juvenile justice law, titingnan natin ang purpose at ang mga pamamaraan para protektahan ang lipunan at paprotektahan din ang mga bata, no, na sangkot sa mga criminal acts na ganito. Personally, I don't agree at this time that because of that trigger na pamamaril doon sa Leyte, immediately we will amend the law, the age requirement, because it does not answer the real problem here. No? Hindi lang naman edad. Kasi ang sinasabi ko nga, kahit fetus pa gawin natin na responsible, the problem remains. No? So we have to look at this in the macro and micro level. And kung titinang natin ang batas, we have systems for intervention, mga sistema na para ma-divert may diversion programs, may mga psychological trainings, may mga sapat ba tayo na mga health professionals to handle this? Ilan ba ang psychologists natin? Ilan ba ang mga probinsya or cities or municipalities na may mga sistema sa pag-protect ng bata, no? At ang mga barangay meron din, no? But if we look at all these facilities, the system all is provided under the law, but does the system work? Does the system respond to all this? Sa probinsya po ninyo, meron bang child protection center sa city ninyo or sa barangay po ninyo? May ilan ba ang psychologist sa inyo, no? Ang pamilya ba? Kasi if we look at the data, and I am saying this, that it is not enough that we amend the law as to the age requirement, but ang titingnan natin dito is is there a scientific basis? Does the data respond to this demand? Kasi kung hindi naman scientific at ang data ay tumataliwas sa katotohanan, I think the amendment of the law as of this time is not the best remedy for this. Rather, we have to look at this in the level of implementation, no? So I think that at this time there is no need, no? There is no need for the lowering of the age of criminal responsibility, but we also acknowledge the fact, no? And we do not disregard the victims here and also those persons na naging biktima dito, no? But we have to be objective in looking at this, because when we look at the law and its implementation and its implications sa ating society, we have to look at it in a larger level, no? Hindi lamang po sa edad, kundi sabi ko nga, kahit ibaba ang age of criminal responsibility or liability, if the system is the same, how can we guarantee that our purpose would be served by this amendment?
Si Professor.
Well, I do agree with Dean, pero let's look at this from a bigger perspective. Tingnan natin yung larger picture in terms of compliance and at the same time, the manner kung papaano ipinapatupad itong batas na ito. At ikalawa, yung diskurso, kasi kung titignan mo, iba-ibang lente siya. Sa lente ng law enforcement, gusto nilang ibaba. Sa lente basically ng mga psychologists, child advocates, hindi dapat. Kasi tama naman, yung age of discernment nagbabago. Pero may isa ditong importanteng dapat nating tignan eh. Ano yun? Yung advent ng information and communication technology, especially the advent of these various social media platforms na kung saan it is starting or started to consume yung mga bata at saka yung mga kabataan ngayon. So, kung nandun yung shift ng problema as compared to, let's say, 10, 20, 30 years ago, ano yung support system at saka ano yung mga mekanismo na dapat nating pagtibayin? Kasi pag ibinaba mo yan, it's just a stopgap measure. It won't really solve and address the problem from a long-term perspective. So dapat ihanda mo yung mekanismo mo, ihanda natin yung approach natin, and more importantly, how do we strengthen family? Kasi kung titignan natin, it all starts with the family. So, if the family is broken, if the family is dysfunctional, dun ngayon papasok yung intervention ng state, ng local government units in terms of paano sila makakatulong kung yung basic foundation, which is the family, is broken or dysfunctional.
Alam niyo, Professor, Attorney, pag tinignan niyo po yung batas, no, kahit po yung naunang batas na sinundan po ng juvenile justice law natin, meron po talagang proseso, no? Unang-una, kapag ka 15 pababa, walang criminal responsibility, hindi po siya, kung nakakommit siya ng isang crime, hindi po siya kukulong. Doon sa batas, ang proseso iti-turn over siya sa magulang. Kung walang magulang, guardian. Kung walang guardian, nearest relative. Kung i-refuse ng mga sinabi ko, o wala po talaga, hindi ma-identify, may susunod po ang level, yung DSWD. At yung procedure sa DSWD, ganun din po. Meron pong definition po, yung neglected, abandoned children. At meron pong proseso kung ba't ganun eh. At kung sakali naman po, pumayag yung mga magulang, yung mga naunang sinabi ko, na kunin nila yung bata, pero hindi nila sinunod yung intervention program. Meron din pong procedure para po makomit naman po yung mga bata, no? Pero pag tiningnan po natin to lahat, ito po ay nangangailangan ng isang gumagana na mga iba-ibang ahensya ng gobyerno para po mag-work siya, no? Kasi ang reaksyon po ni Senator Pangilinan na siya pong may akda nitong batas, sinasabi niya, hindi, yung sinasabi ng mga pulis at saka ng ibang magulang na hindi naman napaparusahan yung mga bata, hindi naman daw ganon, no? Hindi siya ganon. Well, hindi naman talaga totally ine-exempt from criminal liability yung mga bata. So sinasabi na yung ating pong mekanismo para dito, dapat lang po daw ipatupad. Do you agree with that?
I agree with pagpatupad, no, or the implementation side, the enforcement side. And if you look at the criminal justice system sa Pilipinas, halimbawa, may 5 pillars ng criminal justice system. We have the enforcement, we have the prosecution, we have the judiciary, we have the community, and all those other pillars. And kung titignan natin ito, nakapalibot dito ang pillars ng criminal justice system natin sa issue ng criminal liability. For example, if there is an act committed by a child, no, a child is in conflict with the law. I agree that implementation-wise, we really have to look at how the juvenile justice law is being implemented, because the system has not been fully utilized. If there is a utilization, limited siya sa certain areas you can afford. For example, how many bahay ng pag-asa are there in the entire Philippines? No, may mga na experience ko, because I am also an accredited, as Supreme Court accredited family mediator. We are always looking at the best interest of the child, even if the child is just caught within the conflict of parents. Halimbawa, ganyan, no? And if we look at this system, no, na sa pag-commit ng isang akto, no, or omission, just like in the shooting na recently done, no, we have to look at here ang Leyte ba, kung saan nangyari ito. Meron bang mga mekanismo on how to handle a child, for example, subject of intervention or yung mga naka-diversion program. So, ano ba ang mga programa na ini-implement doon? May mga nag-check ba ng mga experts, professionals on them, like we have the psychologists, may nakipag-usap pa sa kanila. These are just some of the mechanisms under the law where kung titignan natin, mas lalong mapursige at maiayos ang kumbaga ang konsepto ng restorative justice, that we do not just punish children. We have to make them accountable. At the same time, they have to be aware that these are the actions that should be done. The family integration, may mga family intervention, societal intervention, and professional intervention na tinitignan natin dito. And I think it's really something na dapat tingnan natin, suriin, no, i-review ang mga policy gaps on the juvenile justice law, because it's not just in the implementation but even in the policy gaps, no. The law itself is very clear, the purpose is very good, but how about in the enforcement? the mechanisms on this. No? Yun ay isang problema. I have encountered several researches of students in the JD program and even sa Master of Laws programs, and common ang mga problema na ito. There was a research in Zamboanga City that has a good diversion program, pero how about sa ibang area? How about doon kaya sa Leyte, meron kaya doon, no? So it's interesting to look at this, and maybe our policymakers are not only our Congress, but even on the aspect like the DSWD, local government units, and the enforcement officers doon, kasi it's a whole process, no? Isang komunidad ang may role na ginagampanan dito, pati ang pamilya. Hindi natin pwedeng ilayo ang gabay at pagsuri at pagbigay ng guide ng isang parent. And I agree, no, na the familial the family setup is one factor also, no. Because that could also explain why some children have to go out of their houses because nag-aaway yung parents, yung mga halimbawa ganyan, no. So it's really a systemic matter that should be looked into, and not just the law itself, because the law is very clear, it has a very good intention, but how about its implementation? No, so I understand the demand, for example, of ang gusto ni Senator Robin Hood Padilla halimbawa na ganito ganyan, no? Pero we have to look at this in the general setup, kasi ang edad ng bata ay may mga factors yan, no? So ang growing up years nila, may mga, it's more of psychological makeup, yung mga normative na ano, no? So maraming dapat tignan dito.
Matanong ko po si Professor. Alam niyo, sir, kapag po ang lagi natin in-invoke ay yung pong operation ng criminal justice system, marami na pong aparatos, mekanismo doon eh. Pero tingnan po natin, bago po mapunta yung bata doon sa punto na kailangan na siya pumasok doon sa criminal justice system, hindi ba mag-a-apply po yung sinasabi natin that an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure? Meaning, i-address po natin yung mga concern bago pa man po makagawa ng ganitong krimen ang bata. Hindi ba dapat i-address po natin doon sa level po ng pamilya o yung immediate component ng society bago pa po pumasok sa criminal justice system, Professor?
Tama po, attorney, ano? And babalikan ko lang po din yung sinasabi ni Din kanina, no? Unang-una po, kung titignan natin, yung gap na dapat nating tignan is usapin sa pondo. Look at DSWD as not just an agency na nagbibigay ng tulong, nagbibigay ng ayuda, but you have to strengthen the capacity and capability of social workers and hire more experts. Kasi nakikita natin, nagmamanifest na yung problema natin na the problems before is not as the same as, you know, the problems today. It's complex because meron kang intervening variable. And what's that? The information and communication technology, the advent of social media. Kung dysfunctional yung family halimbawa, or may problema sa pamilya, where do, you know, students or kids divert their attention? To the type of games that they play, ano yung information na nakukuha nila sa social media. Kaya napakahirap at napakalaking hamon ang pagiging magulang nowadays, because you have to talk and constantly communicate with your children. Sino yung mga kaibigan nila, ano yung mga ginagawa nilang games. And ito yung question na medyo allowed na ba kung anong edad dapat bigyan mo ng cellphone yung bata? Or i-authorize mo na magkaroon na siya ng cellphone? Okay, for emergency purposes, anong type ng cellphone yung pwede mong ibigay siya? Kung smartphone ba? Allowed na ba ang mga bata at what particular age magkaroon ng social media account? So, this basically makes the whole process complex because andyan yung yung information and communication technology. And more importantly, kapag yung hamon na sa magulang at parents or yung family ay talagang very challenging na, what will now be the intervention of the state? Madaling sabihin na ibaba ang criminal liability. Pero tama yung pinag-uusapan natin kanila. Sapat ba o kaya ba ng Estado in terms of the approach and mechanism na pag in-integrate mo sila, holistic and total development na pag na-rehabilitate mo sila, nagkaroon ng malaking pagbabago doon sa welfare ng mga bata. The question is the system, mechanism, infrastructure, if you may, enough for us to be able to say that, okay, nagkaroon ng magandang formative development ng bata after pumasok doon sa program ng gobyerno.
As a society po, we have to reflect back. No? Madaling magsabi na baguhin natin yung batas eh. But we are trying to, ito pong mga nag-advocate na to, they are trying to change a system that they have not fully utilized yet. No? Of course, we want to ensure that this particular incident will not happen again. But making sure na hindi lang po yung criminal justice system yung babaguhin natin. We po should change po. Para naman po ma-minimize po natin yung mga ganito pong klaseng insidente. Dahil I think ito po, punta po tayo sa mga ibang bansa, no? Like Australia. Yung po ang unang-unang bansa na ban ng social media. Ito po ang essence po ng batas nila. Ang pinipinalize po doon ay yung mga telco po, no? At saka po yung gumagawa po ng mga app. Na kailangan they have to make sure na merong ma-minimize yung access ng mga 16 and below doon po sa mga app na yon using technology, no? Kasi technology can be used for good or bad. In this particular case po sa mga bata na to, they were influenced by the use of the technology in the antisocial and deviant direction, no? But we could also use technology in a positive way po. So, kayo po, sir, I think hindi naman po kailangan necessarily nangangailangan ng batas in order to restrict certain apps, certain social media platform po.
Kasi speaking about that, I think there must be a regulation, no? Kasi those against this, no? Kasi halimbawa ako, I'm the counsel of the UN rapporteur here in the Philippines for freedom of speech, expression, and opinion, and restricting these items could also impact on the freedom of speech, no? Pero there is always a limitation on that, no? And we know that the exercise of a right or freedom has its responsibility, has its own limitations, and in fact, even under the UN structure and also here in the Philippines, we know that this freedom can be restricted by law for as long as this is justified under the setup. And I think this one, prohibiting children from using this kind of apps or this technology may be justified by the fact that this could impact their growth as individual persons. At the same time, we know that the Constitution provides that the youth is the hope of the fatherland, no? And they must be nurtured and all that. No? And even the state has a role in the growth of the children. We even heard about the concept of parents patriae, no? Kung saan ang ating batas, ang ating government ay umaakto bilang mga magulang din. Pero bumabalik ito dito sa ating bahay, no? Ang ating mga magulang. Bago umakto ang gobyerno bilang magulang for the parents patriae thing, no? The government, before it goes to that, it goes back to the family, and the family should review also their own mechanisms sa bahay natin. Kasi some children grew up in a family where the father figure and the mother figure are wala, no? Or meron namang they grew up in a conflict area sa bahay nila, imbes na it is a peaceful zone dapat, no? So, and this could influence the growth of a child even in their dealings with others, their respect to the law, their respect to others, no? So I really think that this should go back to this system, no, sa pamilya, sa panggobyerno, at sa ang komunidad, no, may kanya-kanyang role na ginagampanan para matulungan ang bata na lumaki, na kapakinabang sa ating bayan.
Alam niyo po, attorney, yung pong I'm also for freedom of expression, no? Yung karapatan po natin mag-express o humanap ng mga bagay na makakapagpayaman po ng ating pong kaisipan, no? Pero ako po, isa po sa nakita ko pong danger po ng social media is, siguro nung bata po tayo, meron tayong kapitbahay na pilyo at nagiging kaibigan mo siya, no? Yung pinanggagalingan po ng iyong kapilyuhan, easily identifiable po. Kapitbahay mo,
Influence.
o isang kaibigan mo, or barkada mo, ma-identify mo. The risk with social media is that you are exposed to the world. Kung saan sa ang sulok ng mundo ang nanggagaling po ang iyong impluensya, na hindi naman po lahat mabuti po. No? So tama po rin na pag-aralan po mabuti. Ako po, I'm all for research. I'm all for studying. No? Mahirap po kasi lagi na we will change the whole structure of the law on a mere knee-jerk reaction po. No?
I agree.
Mahirap po yun. Yun po ang sa tingin ko na may kakulangan po na sa mga consideration ngayon. Let's re-examine, yes, let's re-examine the law, but we should also focus on re-examining the full implementation of the law. Kasi doon po makikita po natin yung gaps. Kasi yung mismong author ng batas po na si Senator Pangilinan, sinasabi niya, hindi yan ang spirito ng batas na ginawa po niya.
Kasi I think because ngayon, no, titingnan natin ang mga batas, the laws are as good as their implementation, no? So kung kahit gaano kaganda ang konsepto ng batas, ang espiritu nito, kung ang realidad ay iba sa nakasulat sa batas at hindi naman ginagawa ang dapat gawin based on the law, I think there is really not only a gap but a problem sa ating pag-implement ng ating mga batas, no? Especially for this kind of law that is important because this is dealing with children in conflict with the law is a very delicate matter. Hindi lang porket na nagkaroon ng isang insidente, ikukulong mo na sila agad and all that because there are many perspectives in looking at this issue.
Yes, lacking of enforcement. Do you share the same sentiment?
Attorney, ang ganda nung sinabi mo kanina na during, tingin ko, mukhang si Ma'am Judea lang yung medyo bata-bata dito.
Ay!
Pero yung generation
Ay, ako
natin,
din.
attorney at saka din, hindi nagkakalayo. Naalala ko, nung panahon po namin, pag tinignan ka ng magulang mo,
That
makuha ka
says
sa tingin. Ngayon, pagka tinignan mo yung bata, makikipagtitigan siya sa iyo. Hindi ho ba? Parang napakahirap. Maganda yung sinabi ni attorney, 6 p.m. pa lang, nasa loob na ng tahanan yung mga bata. So, kitang-kita mo yung disiplina, yung manner na kung saan, yung respeto sa mga matatanda, and more importantly is, the values. What enhances and what complicates things. Kasi, tama yung sinabi nyo kanina identified mo kaagad kapag ka nagkaroon ng conflict. Ngayon, because of the social media and infinite possibilities because of this information and communication technology, ang daming possibility na yung line of information at saka influence, maraming pinagdadaanan or maraming pwedeng maka-impluwensya kung hindi natin tututukan lalo yung mga bata at saka yung mga anak natin ngayon. So, what complicates things, I think nowadays is, the whole setup of a world that is very inclusive. Kasi hindi natin alam, baka yung kausap na nung anak natin o nung mga bata ngayon, ibang elemento o ibang masamang elemento na maaaring ginugroom na pala sila, nai-influence na pala yung kanilang kaisipan. So, now more than ever, yung vigilance natin bilang mga magulang. And I think with regard to this concern to social media, various social media platforms, and at the same time, yung mga games available sa mga Google at saka iOS, baka isa din na pwede nating i-explore is the possibility of creating a regulatory body for it. It's like parang similar MTRCB type like na body, regulatory body, but that is to filter and review ano yung mga games na violent, tapos isang guni natin, ito yung mga recommendation, tapos anuhin po natin sila, i-flag natin through the DICT for example. Second po, maganda yung in-emphasize din ni Dean kanina, yung usapin pagdating doon sa mga telcos. So baka po pag kabit ng telcos o nag-apply ng linya ng internet, automatic may parental block na kaagad at tinuturo sa mga magulang na, Sir, Ma'am, kung meron ho kayong anak na bata, meron ho kaming kasi hindi po lahat informed na merong parental block na pwede mong ilimit yung mga pwedeng ma-access ng mga bata doon sa pinapanood nila sa internet or sa various platforms po. So, mahalaga din po ng telcos, ipinapaunawa, hindi lang porket na-install na, aalis na kasi nag-subscribe sa kanila. So, may responsibility po na malaki din yung ating mga telcos to inform the parents na, Ma'am, Sir, meron ho tayong parental block. Dahil meron ho kayong mga anak na ganito pa kaliliit, pwede nyo hong ganito, ganyan. So as the parents will also be guided.
Tama. This is a very touchy topic po talaga. Tama yung mga sinabi nila Dean, Attorney, and ni Sir Romel. So, there's just more to come. Mamaya po sa ating pagbabalik, mas malalim po nating pag-uusapan kung nasaan nga ba ang mali at mga reformang dapat nating gawin sa lipunan. Stay with us. The PH Insider will be right back.
Narito na ang schedule ng inyong paboritong Lotso games mula sa Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office.
Araw-araw ang draws ng 2D Lotto at 3D Lotto tuwing alas 2 ng hapon, alas 5 ng hapon at alas 9 ng gabi.
At pagsapit ng alas 9 ng gabi, sasamahan pa yan ng Big Time Games. Tuwing Lunes, magpapapremyo rin ang 4D Lotto, Mega Lotto 645 at Grand Lotto 655.
Pagdating ng Martes, magdadala ng panalo ang 6D Lotto, Lotto 642, Super Lotto 649 at Ultra Lotto 658.
Tuwing Miyerkules, umaarangkada ang papremyo ng 4D Lotto, Mega Lotto 645 at Grand Lotto 655.
Pagsapit ng Huwebes, tutok na sa 6D Lotto, Lotto 642 at Super Lotto 649.
Mapapanood naman tuwing Biyernes ang pagbola ng winning numbers ng 4D Lotto, Mega Lotto 645 at Ultra Lotto 658.
At tuwing Sabado, abangan ang 6D Lotto, Lotto 642 at Grand Lotto 655.
Sigurado namang pasasayahin ang araw ng linggo ng exciting prizes ng Super Lotto 649 at Ultra Lotto 658.
Sali na dahil baka ikaw na ang susunod na mananalo
At maging Lotto Milyonaryo. Araw-araw, let's play Lotto! Dito lang yan sa DATV at IBC.
Nagbabalik ang The PH Insider and TV. Kasama pa rin natin sina Dean Tanton, si Professor Eric at syempre si Sir Romel. What went wrong? Yun talaga yung tanong po natin kanina pa eh. What went wrong kung hindi lamang po ang batas ang problema? Ano po kaya ang tunay na roots, yung pinakaugat nitong pagtaas ng karahasan na kinasasangkutan po ng mga menor de edad?
Alam mo, Judea, we have to take this in a much sober way, no? Madaling magalit. Totoo naman po na talaga po tayong malulungkot, magagalit po doon sa mga insidente na involve po yung mga bata, no? Pero we have to take a step back, no? Para po mas maayos po ang ating response dito sa insidente na ito. The Philippine National Police has cited some statistics na mahigit 1,000 insidente na nag-involve children in conflict with law for the last 3 years, no? And this kind of statement actually aggravates yung incident, no?
Yeah.
Biglang nagkakaroon ng special impetus yung krimen na nangyari po sa Tacloban. No, but we have to, I think all of us should really step back a little and try to address this in a much sober way, no? Tulad niyan, nananawagan ang ilang mambabatas na baguhin kagad yung edad, no? Yun po sa tingin ko yung magiging pagkukulang natin na hindi pa naman natin na-solve fully yung or na-address lahat ng issues na dinesign ng polisiya, no? Yung dalawang batas na pinasa ng ating Kongreso. Ito na, babaguhin na naman natin, no? I still maintain na the bigger part responsible dito sa particular incident na to is not the criminal justice system itself. No? We as a society should really re-examine ourselves, our family values, the way we handle their education, the way we provide them access to such technology at a very young age. Pag tinignan niyo po, ito po may pag-aaral naman po, no, Professor, Attorney. May pag-aaral po ang ibang bansa tungkol sa masamang epekto po ng gadget sa mga bata. In fact, inaano nga po minsan nga po parang pinupulaan po yung mga nag-develop po ng mga technology. Kasi yung mga anak po nila mismo, hindi po nila binibigyan ng gadget at until the age of 14. I think yung anak ni Bill Gates, nung iba pa pong mga nag-develop ng technology na to, no? Hindi nila binigyan yung mga, kasi sila mismo, alam nila yung risk, alam nila yung danger na ma-expose ang bata dito. And hindi po to anecdotal. There are certain studies that would tell you the exposure of kids with gadgets, more so with dangerous apps or games, is much more talagang nakakabahala po. So, kayo po, Professor, ano
Attorney, idagdag ko lang example po kung oobserbahan natin, ang dami na ngayon na wala nang nagbabasa. Hindi na masyado nagbabasa at ang attention span ng mga bata ngayon, paikli ng paikli. Bakit? Na-enhance kapag reels at saka shorts. Yung sa observation ko po, pag laging nagre-reels siya nagre-reels yung mga bata, mabilis. Hindi na, kaya nga makikita natin, yung mode ng communication ngayon in effective branding sa political strategy, 30 seconds, 20 to 30, nakaka-capture mo na dapat yan. Wala na nagbabasa, andun na lahat, i-compress yan. Diba? So, ang problema mo ngayon, yung konteksto. Ikatlo, bilang guru po sa higher education, ini-emphasize ko palagi at minsan po medyo talagang napupulaanan tayo dahil marami po tayong pinapabasa. Pero yun para matuto po yung mga mag-aaral. And I'm sure si Dean ito na-encounter beyond the law school, need ho talagang magbasa at matuto pong magbasa ng mga bata po ngayon. And for example po, we do appreciate, alimbawa po, yung mga online presentation, online forums. Pero kung mapapansin po natin, pag online lecture, Attorney Dean, hindi ko alam kung ma-observe nyo, pinakamatagal na yung 1 to 1.5 hours na attention span. Hindi ka na po pwedeng mag 3 hours max kasi yung mental health and yung wala nang nakikinig sa iyo. So, yun yung mga downside ng ng which Sir Romel made mention a while ago.
I agree with that kasi as a bar reviewer, minsan 6 hours, 5 hours. So, pero kasi kung bar naman, iba naman usapin yun. Kasi wala kang choice, mag-aaral ka talaga at makikinig ka. Otherwise, baka kalimutan mo. But I agree with Sir Romel earlier on for example, this data published by the PNP and also ilapat natin yun sa sa datos ng mga eksperto like psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers. So, lahat ng mga professional na yon, mga professional organizations na yon, may mga data sila, and these are scientific objective data, no, na sa kanilang pag-aaral in relation sa children and children in conflict with the law, including the study of the family, and also the cultural aspect. Plus, I agree also with a note on the developments in technology, our educational system, and all that. I really would invite our legal minds here, especially those na nasa Kongreso. Kasi minsan, alam naman natin na the public outrage and ang bugso ng damdamin ay maintindihan natin, no? Especially with these killings. We want that the victims be compensated and all that, but it is not enough na dapat i-punish ang every time na may action there is a punishment. While we agree to that, but retribution in itself is not good in a society. That's why there is a concept like restorative justice and looking at the perspectives na kung saan nanggagaling ang bata. Kasi usually ang sinasabi natin, ano kaya ang pinanggagalingan nitong bata na to? Ano kaya ang konteksto ng sinabi ng bata na ito, no? So sa pamilya, at saka pumunta siya sa paaralan, and it would invite us to revisit our mechanism here. And it's not just about amending the law.
Yes.
It's about reviewing, revising, and determining gaps and making reforms in not only the law, the policy, and also those persons tasked like the PNP. How do they handle children? No, ito ay isang hindi lang imbitasyon, kundi this is a challenge, no, to our officials, not just in Congress or in the Senate of the Philippines, but also our local government units in particular, no. While hindi ako sang-ayon sa curfew and all that, pero kung sa areas ng pag-protect ng mga bata and all this, that can be checked on that level, no. It brings us to go back to the table, assess and reassess this facts, not only the facts, but also the data provided by the professionals, and maybe we can establish and we can draw the line between punishing, diverting, or implementing actions, no, because dealing with children is, as I said, is a delicate matter, and it should be really looked into, no.
Idea po dyan is gusto natin siyang implement sa lahat, no? Pero ito pong reaction kasi na ito po yung parang para po sa akin, no? This is kind of a regulation or enforcement by exemption. By exceptional cases. Hindi po. Sa dami po ng mga bata, children in conflict with law, ilan po dyan ang murder. So if you look at the curve, no, ng distribution ng children in conflict with law, konti lang po yung murder, no? Pero hindi ko po tinitrivialize yun. Isa lang po yan, dalawa po yan, that is too much para po sa akin, considering these are kids, no? But what we're saying is, if we want to reinvent or change the entire structure of the juvenile justice law by exceptional cases, medyo may problema po tayo sa paggawa ng polisiya. No? Sa tingin ko po, marami pong bata nakakommit po ng krimen, either hindi po nila talaga intensyon, either meron po silang yung mga tinatawag nating mga thrill-seeking behavior, yung anti-social or deviant behavior, but not to the point of itong exceptional cases na to na dangerously antisocial, dangerously deviant behavior of taking the life of a child by another child, no? Pero yung iba po like petty theft, no? Vandalism or kung ano man pong mga pambabato, no? Yan po yung mga marami po no? O yung mga nahuli po sa mga drug operation, hindi naman po kagagawa ng bata, inutusan po ng matatanda, no? So, makikita po natin na yung batas po, nagpuprotekta rin po siya doon sa mga bata na nagkaroon ng conflict sa batas, pero ang talagang may kagagawan po ay matatanda kasi they're looking at this law, this is a way para makalusot tayo. Pagawa natin sa mga bata.
That's why I was telling earlier na kahit ano pa yan, kahit fetus pa yan, nagbigyan mo ng criminal responsibility, ang mga kriminal and yung mga sindikato, gagawin at gagawin
They will
nila yun.
still act
Because
like one.
that is how they wanted to preserve their own, no? Pero, yun ang sinasabi natin, it's not in the age. Kundi, kasi kung gagamitin talaga yan, gagamitin nila. That's why there is really, and there should be, a strict implementation of the law. The enforcer should dwell on let's say yung mga cartel, mga crime syndicates or all of this. And it may not be easy. I agree, but with all the systems identified under the existing law, and pagalawin natin yon, tingnan natin how it goes. And this incident is a trigger to this person's task to perform their duty under this law, so that they have to do that under the law. Kung pondo ang kulang, anong solusyon? Hindi pondohan natin. If we were able to fund the unprogrammed appropriations, bakit hindi natin to bigyan ng pondo, no? So I think it's also a matter of political will.
Is that at the end of the day, let us, again, heighten yung emotions of what happened. But let us step back and look at it from a bigger picture that should we really push for this? Ang una kong question is the mechanism okay? Would the approach be okay that all systems ready? Because if you have a problem in terms of the mechanism such as the program, experts, funding, and so on and so forth, it will just add up and, make things more complicated. So para ka nagbubukas ng panibagong lalong problema. Kaya maganda yung in-emphasize ni Dina Chani sa Romel kanina, no? Balikan natin, for example, may konkreto na bang study na tinignan yung rehabilitation program ng buong DSWD na nakita natin na after rehabilitation, what's now the well-being of those former CICL? I think it's a very basic thing to do. Para ma-engage mo yung policymakers, how do we now strengthen the mechanism? How do we now strengthen the program? It's not just issue of funding, tingin ko eh. But it's also an issue of katulad ng whole of society approach. And I think society is becoming more complex precisely because of the advent of information and communication technology. So the only question is, how do we, for example, work together, especially pasingtabi po, pero yung burden and bigger responsibility is on the part of the parents and the family for that matter. So now more than ever, kailangan ho natin talagang mas pagsumikapan bilang mga magulang at bilang pamilya, yung lalo na po ngayon, yung mas natatakot ako, attorney, for my kids, halimbawa, that we're very particular about yung exposure nila sa social media. Tingin ko hindi ito yung mga bagay na hindi mo na dapat institutionalize na gumawa ka ng batas eh. Pero tingin ko instinct mo bilang magulang na magpakamagulang ka na una mong tignan yung welfare and well-being ng mga anak mo o ng mga bata.
But that is if you grew up in a normal setup. But there is a reality also that exposes children into a different kind of reality. Some of them would grow up in a problematic setup. So, I think that's something.
Isa pa po, no? Dito, pagdating po dito sa educational system po natin, yung pong na-observe po ninyo na umiikli ang mga attention ng mga bata, no? Di ba meron po tayong sinasabi ng mga bata tayo, you should pass the marshmallow test. No? Tama po? Ibig sabihin, kailangan yung bata magpursige, maghintay, maging pasensyoso, no? Para pumasa siya. Pero yung sinasabi nyo na reels and shorts, that's contrary to the concept of the marshmallow test. No? That's why, yung pong marshmallow test, ang sinasabi lang po noon, yung mga bata po na yon na naghintay para sa kanilang reward, ang trajectory po ng success nila sa buhay, maganda po. Yung mga hindi pumasa doon, hindi po maganda yung naging trajectory. In the same manner, no? This is one aspect that we should also look into, is the way we are educating our kids now, no? Siyempre, isa pong component ang pamilya. At ang pangalawa po, paglabas nila ng bahay, ang susunod po nilang institusyon ng society ay schools. No? We should reevaluate also the way we deliver lessons in school, no? Tayo po, sanay po tayo magbasa ng
Books.
libro na walang litrato. Ang mga bata po sa ngayon, karamihan, hindi na po, no? Yun po, tulad ng sinasabi po ninyo. So, ibig ko po sabihin, buong lipunan po ang dapat mag-reflect back dito po sa insidente na to. At totoo pong nakakalungkot, nakakagalit po itong insidente na to. But at the level po of the state, at the level of society, we should consider all things po pagdating po sa ganito. Hindi lang po yung krimen na sinasabi. Paano ba natin sila pinapalaki? Paano natin sila pinapag-aral? How do we reward them? How do we incentivize their actions? I think that tells us a lot also right now po.
Yes. Is there something we can do po ba? I mean, this is not going to be a very huge step agad eh. Kagaya nga sinasabi ni Sir Romel, dapat we have to be data-driven. For example na lang po, malinaw po yung nasabi na mention natin kanina, there is a huge and undeniable influence of the social media and gadgets. Kayo po, Dean and Attorney, what do you propose? Dapat bang restrictions lang or complete ban? Because again, sabi ni Sir Romel, their internet is something we can control. Very huge po yung influence nito. So,
I think we have, my take there is, there must be a balance, no? Because we have to note that even the schools here, when we speak about social media, they are liable also because some of them would even send notices to the parents, the children, and their work is based on the internet also. No, so I think we have to recognize also the contribution of technology in learning. At the same time, there must be a specific action towards the use of social media and gadgets during periods of learning, like in the school period. Dapat siguro, I agree doon sa ipagbawal ang cellphone sa mga bata.
what ages po?
Na nasa school, halimbawa, elementary and high school, halimbawa, ganyan, no? Pero, like, if the school activities would involve yung mga use of mga gadgets or technology, edi they have to provide for that inside the school or they can bring their own phones para gamitin for a particular activity. That's why I think it has to really be balanced between the learning, restrictions, and banning. Because total ban, I don't think that it should be done. Although I agree that in elementary or high school, ang pwedeng i-confiscate lahat ng mga cellphone or hindi dalhin doon sa classrooms. Pero other than that, may restrictions siguro, especially like joining an app or use of social media and all that, no? So, and it has to be, there must be a monitoring set up for that, like within the community and the space of the social media application and others, because we also need a society, a community of children and youth who are creative, who are able to utilize whatever is around them, because kung hindi din matickle ang creativity ng mga bata, what future is there for them also? So I think a balance is good.
How about you, Prof?
I do agree with Dina, no? Especially pag private schools, they can filter actually. Tapos kung hindi mo inaalaw yung phone, meron na rin ding account yung parents eh. So you can use basically the parents account kasi nagsesend din naman yung mga schools eh. Ang challenge mo dyan is, of course, public schools with the limited resources, how can they filter? Eh, yung iba nga natin problema dyan, yung access sa connectivity. May problema pa rin din dyan. So, again, it's a balancing act, but also more of the regulatory mechanism. I would like to, give importance dun sa regulatory mechanism that to ensure that it is being implemented properly, to be able to craft and create regulatory mechanism that would really be inclusive and to a certain degree holistic, cross-cutting a particular age group for that matter. Ang hiniiwasan natin talaga dito is wag nang maulit. Wag nang mangyari ulit. So, we need to be proactive. Pero ang tingin kong panawagan dito sa Romel din is the challenge in terms of consistency. Ngayon, kung makikita mo, pagpunta mo sa mga schools, medyo mahigpit, nag-check ngayon. Pero pagka tumagal na, ilang linggo, ilang buwan, ayun na naman, lax na naman yung mga tao, tapos aantayin. So, the vigilance and consistency should always be there so as to prevent this case to happen again.
Yun, exactly. They have...
Yes, ako naman, ang hamon ko sa ating lahat, no? Bilang mga magulang, unang-una, wala pong kapalit ang personal po na pag-attend po sa pangangailangan ng ating mga anak. Hindi po replacement ang cellphone kung wala po kayo. Marami pong pwedeng ibigay ng mga bagay na makakapagpayaman po ng kalinangan po ng mga bata. Hindi lamang po yan cellphone. Pangalawa, yung pong access nila dun sa I would call din ng mga malevolent app na, no? Kasi kunwari po ako po naglalaro din po ako eh. No? Pero very defined po yung objective ng game. Nakakita po kasi ako ng isang laro na nagda-drive ka, bababa ka bigla, papaluin mo hanggang mamatay yung isang tao using a baseball bat. And there is reward to it. Sasagasaan mo pa ulit-ulit ang isang tao. There is reward to it. There's point to it. And just shoot randomly anyone. I think this kind of apps have no place sa mga kamay po ng mga bata, no? Kasi obviously malevolent eh. So some might think that that's a form of entertainment for adults maybe. No? For adults. Even that is questionable in my mind, no?
Yes.
Even that is questionable in my mind. But for some would reason out like that. But in the mind, in the eyes of the child, in the mind of a child, normalizing these violent acts is not good for them po. Ako, yun po yung stand ko naman, na I would see to it na yung apo ko ay hindi po maglaro yung mga ganyan. That even just the title of some of these apps, alam nyo na po na talagang may mali. May mali po dun sa developer na yun, no? So, why would we reward them, no? Ako po, yes, I'm not for the total ban of the use of gadget or technology for kids. But I think in the way things are happening, we have to be considerate on the age and the kind of apps and the amount of time they spend with their gadgets.
Yes.
I think tayo po bilang mga magulang, bilang mga guardian or supervisor po ng mga batang ito, we have to consider all those factors po para po maiwasan po natin itong mga ganitong insidente.
The message is clear po, no? Dean, Prof, and Sir Romel. Yung lesson po natin, the solution is more than just touching and reforming the juvenile justice and welfare law. And it's more of being there, being present po sa ating mga kabataan. Nako, hindi po natin maaaring sukatin ang kinabukasan ng isang bansa sa tindi po ng parusa lamang. Ang tunay po na tanong ay ito, ano ang gagawin natin bago pa man may batang humawak ng baril? Kapag ang isang menor de edad ay sangkot sa karumal-dumal na krimen, hindi lamang siya ang dapat nating tingnan, dapat din nating siyasatin ang estado ng ating mga pamilya paaralan, komunidad at mga institusyong dapat gumagabay sa kabataan. Ang batas ay maaaring amyendahan ngunit kung ang ugat ng problema ay kapabayaan, panibagong trahedya lamang ang ating paghahandaan. Ang hustisya po ay hindi lamang tungkol sa pagpaparusa, ito rin ay tungkol sa pagtitiyak na wala ng susunod na biktima. Ako po muli, si Judea Bernardo at ito ang The PH Insider on TV. Magandang gabi.